crafters, thanks for joining me here in the attic. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and we'll get to crafting and memory keeping. Today is part 2 of the Lammas folio that I'm doing here for the month of August. If you missed how to put this little folio together, I will link at the end of this video the video for putting the folio together. The kit is available in my Ko-fi shop, and I will have that link also in the description box. What we're going to do today is I'm going to put the pages for the folio inside the book, and I'm going to do this as a no-sew binding. So I'm going to start out. I did not print these borderless. I know a lot of people don't have printers that print borderless, so I printed these with a white border. So I'm going to go and cut all of these out, and then I'll come back and show you how I'm going to score these pages to glue them into the spine of this journal. I'm going to be doing these pages as glued in pages here in the spine, but I wanted to give myself a little bit of some gusset space just in case I wanted to add some things that might be a little thicker than regular paper in here. So in doing this, you'll need to, depending on how you've printed your paper, you're going to need to find the center of your pages. My pages are 10 and 5/8 inch wide. So the center of my page is 5 and 3/8 inch. So I'm going to score 2 of these pages. I'm going to slide my folio over to the side. I don't need that right now. I'm going to take 2 of the papers, and I'm going to score those at 5 and 3/8. And that should give you equal page sizes on both sides of your paper. A lot of times I'll use the edge of my scoreboard to fold things. It just helps you keep everything kind of lined up. So these are going to be my center pages. I'm going to tuck those inside each other for right now, just so I can kind of see before I glue them in, make sure I've got them the way I want them. Then my next 2 pages, I'm going to do 1/8 inch gussets from this. So the way to do that is from your center, so 5 and 3/8, you're going to go over 1/8 of an inch, so that's 5 1/4. And then again from your center, you're going to go over to the right 1/8 of an inch. So that's 5 1/2. So for this one, it's 5 1/4 and 5 1/2 if your pages are the same size as mine. If they're not, again, from your center mark, you're going to go to the left 1/8 of an inch, score, and then from your center, you're going to go to the right 1/8 of an inch and score. Do that for 2 pages. Again, center, over to the left 1/8 of an inch, center, over to the right 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to fold these on both of those score lines. It's a little hard to see those. When I'm folding my scores, I like to just kind of hold it up, do like a finger fold before I burnish it in, and then flip it the other way, do the same thing, get my score line, do a little finger fold so that I'm kind of trying to keep everything straight on that score, and then burnish that in. And then you've made your little gusset. So you should have a 1/4 inch gusset now for these 2 pages. Let's fold this one. I'm just going to tuck those 2 pages together and put these ones that were completely folded in half in the center of those. And then for your last 2 pages, you're going to again go 1/8 of an inch from that second one. So find your center again. Mine is 5 3/8, and go over to the left 1/4 of an inch. So you'll go over 2 marks on your score line and score, which mine is 5 1/8, and then find your center, go over 2/8 of an inch and score. So this would be 5 5/8 of an inch. Again, find your center. Mine is 5 3/8. Go over 2, which is 5 1/8 on my page. Center over 2/8, and that's 5 5/8. And I'm going to fold on those score lines again to make my gusset. So now you should have a 1/2 inch spine for both of these. Just going to tuck these in. And then tuck this inside that. So this is what you'll end up with. And your pages won't be the same length. And that's okay. I'm going to come back and add some decorative trim with some lace and things to the edge of these pages. But I often don't like my pages to be all the same length. It just adds a little bit of interest to my journals. So I'm okay with that. But if you do want them exactly the same, you can come back and trim this off to make them the same, or again, add some decorative trim to bring the shorter pages up to the edge of the longer pages. Now I'm going to glue the pages into the folio. But the first thing I want to do is ink these edges up. I'm going to grab my inks, and I think I'm going to ink them up with the brushed corduroy like I did the edges of the folio. Again, this is just something I like to do because I don't like the white edges showing on my projects. It is not a step you have to do. If 1, you don't have inks. If 2, you don't like inking. Not everybody likes to ink their projects, so it's not something that is a mandatory thing. Nothing in paper crafting is mandatory. Anytime I'm doing any tutorials or anything, feel free to follow along as you like and skip the parts that you don't. Make your projects fit your style, and in the end, you are the only one that has to be happy with what you're doing. So I'm going to speed this up and finish inking all these pages. I'm going to start gluing these in now, and you're going to start with the one that's the 1/2 inch spine. And I think I would like, when I'm doing this, I like to see kind of what my first page is going to be, and I think I want my first page to be that. So when I'm gluing this in, I like to kind of just center this in the center of the spine with equal distances from the top and the bottom. You can use wet glue here, you can use double stick tape. I most of the time will go towards wet glue, as it does give me a little bit of wiggle room when I'm putting things down. And in my area, I have found that sometimes double stick tape tends to get dry and brittle, and then my projects have come apart and I've had to redo them, where I don't have that issue with the wet glue. So again, center that. And since I have inked up this spine, I can see those a little bit better. So I kind of get that in, and then burnish it down to get good contact with the folio, and then move on to the next page. Again, kind of decide how I want that one. And I think I am going to do the lines here. So I'm going to add my glue to this side. I need to refill my glue bottle. And then get that lined up. And then burnish that in place. And then I'm going to move on to the ones that are the 1/4 inch spines and decide which one I want as my next page. I think I'm going to do this one first. And you just repeat this process until you get the pages in. Trying to make sure, don't line them up here, line them up here in the center, because again, your pages will not be the exact same size at the edge because you've changed where you've scored it a little bit. So try to get that lined up with the center of your spine. Get that down and burnish that into place. And then get your next one. I think I'm going to do this way. You don't have to glue your signature in this way. If you want to do a sewn signature, you can do that. I have some sewn signature videos here on my channel if you need to go back and take a look at some of those. I've also got one where I did an elastic center to where you can remove the booklet. And I thought about doing that here, but wanted to do something a little different, so I went with this option. And then for your last one that doesn't have a gusset, you're just going to put the glue right on the score line. Let's see if I decide how I want to do that. I think I want to do it that way. So I'm going to put my glue right here. Right on that spine. Get that in the center. Get that glued down. And do the same thing here. And I think I want this to be the center, so I'm going to glue this. And get that lined up in the center. And again, I'm just kind of eyeballing this. If you wanted to mark your exact center, you could. If you like everything to be completely perfect, I would suggest that. I am not one that likes to do a lot of measuring, so I don't do that often. So once I've got these signatures in place, I'm going to clip these into place and let this dry good before I start folding and moving on to the next step. Once I've allowed that time to dry, I come back and just fold this and kind of get it lined up, because you may have to retrain your paper a little bit depending on how you glued each end. And just get these all folded. And then fold the other way. And there we've got our little booklet. And you can see you've got some spacing in here that allows you to put like pockets and things on these journal pages too, if you want to, without it becoming too much of a gator mouth, hopefully. I noticed here when I was trimming, I didn't quite get all the white trimmed off that, so I'm going to ink that up a little bit. Again, this is why I like inking, because it can hide lots of things that you think are kind of are mistakes, but they don't have to be mistakes. I like to call them happy accidents. So just look over that. And I think what I want to do now is start adding my lace to my pages. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this lace trim the height of my pages. Get one cut, and then I just kind of measure from that and cut them kind of equal. I think that's why I like junk journaling, or this style of journaling. Some people don't like to call this junk journaling because it's technically not using junk. Here I am using a digital kit, so there's a lot of debate about whether or not this is considered junk journaling, so I kind of call it just journaling most of the time, or paper crafting. But it's not quite so rigid. Everything doesn't have to match exactly, and I think that adds for more creativity. I've got 12 pages since I put 6 pages in here, and they're front and back. There makes a total of 12. I think I'm going to add trim to 6 of them. I don't think I'm going to add trim to all of them. So I've got 4. I'm going to cut out 2 more. And decide where I want to glue them. I think I want to put one here. And I think I want to do like maybe every other one for my 6 pages. Let me think about that. So I'll have one here, skip one, here, skip, here, skip, here, skip. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to grab my Fabri-Tac. I'm going to have to clean that. Let's add this right to the page here. You can also thin this glue out with a little bit of acetone, which I probably need to do. Get this on the edge. I just kind of push this down. Be careful to not push out the glue too terribly much to get your pages glued together. So make sure you're not gluing your pages together here. Just kind of double check the edge. And I'm just going to go through and glue all of my lace on and then come back. I've got all the lace glued on, skipping every other page. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit this up so that the pages can kind of fan out just a little bit. So hopefully they don't stick together if I didn't get all the excess glue on. And I'm going to let that all dry while I fussy cut out the rest of the pieces for this folio. I've added some magnets here to the flaps of my folio to kind of keep those closed. And I just put them down with some glue and some double stick tape over them. And then when I decorate this folio, I will cover those magnet areas up with some embellishments or some paper. Not sure exactly what I'll do there, but I think this is where I'm going to end part 2, because now we've got our signature in place and we've got our decorative edging on our pages and our magnets in place. And I'll come back with a part 3 and do a final flip through of how I'm going to decorate this folio. I am not going to do a part 3 to where I go through all the decorations, because again, decorating I think is a personal choice. A lot of people don't have the same supplies you have, but I will try to use a lot of the kit. If you have the kit, the add-on, and the freebies in this journal, and using some of my stash. This Lammas folio is part of a kit series I will be having in my Ko-fi shop. I will have a kit for all 8 of the Wheel of the Year dates, and I will be doing folios for all of those. The folios will be the same size, but they probably won't be exactly the same design for each one of them and constructing them. So be sure to hit the subscription button and the notification bell, and that way you'll be notified when I come back with part 3 of this Lammas folio. And I'd love it if you drop me a comment down in the comment section and let me know if you're following along with the Lammas or what you're working on right now for the month of August. And until I see y'all again here in the attic, y'all take care.